Thank you. Okay, and just let me know when we're good to go and I'll kick it off. We're good?
Yes.
All right, terrific. So I will call this meeting to order at 6:03 on January 4th, 2024. And I will now read the land acknowledgement. The city of Thorold is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattie-Wendourok, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The city of Thorold stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. And now I'll ask, does anyone have any declarations of interest that they'd like to declare? Not seeing any.
None.
And can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda that we will be reviewing today? All right, Councillor O'Hare, and a seconder. And Andrew, thank you. All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor of adopting the agenda? Thank you. Any opposed? Terrific. Okay, so if we can get an adoption of the minutes from our last meeting, which was October 5th, 2023, can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes? Councillor O'Hare and Andrew, thank you. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, that goes forward. Thank you. So at our last meeting, I'm just looking on the line, we did have scheduled Stephen Sues.
So yes, he is not on yet. I'm not sure if he forgot or not, but we can proceed without, and if he does show up, we can circle back.
That's terrific. Okay, we will do that. And we are really fortunate to be welcoming new members. I don't see them on the line, but I did see the correspondence around it. So we will be welcoming Councillor D'Angela and Cesar Fernando Flores Rodriguez to the committee. So when they join us, we can get some introductions done. And Maniza Rahman and Natalie Curry-Patterson have resigned from the committee, unfortunately. So we will move on now to an update, 7.3, Fort Erie Diversity and Inclusion Forum, which looked like a phenomenal event. So I will call upon Councillor O'Hare to give us an update about the event. So Councillor O'Hare, over to you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Yes, I was very, very happy to attend the Equity, Diversity and Inclusion Conference, Mayor's Conference at Fort Erie. They are leaps and bounds ahead of many municipalities in terms of EDI, and certainly are laying down the groundwork that we will be able to tap into and follow. We spoke about this once before of researching some of the municipalities that have equity, diversity, and inclusion policies. And we've already looked at a few of them, and they are huge. They are just, they have so much information, and sometimes it gets a little bit difficult to work through it. Fort Erie has condensed it and focused on the primary directions that municipalities should be going into, encouraged to go into. And part of this mayor's conference was laying out where they stood, what they had done, and also to share ideas for future developments. The conference was amazing. It was attended by about 200 Niagara residents. There were several guest speakers that were very informative, took questions from the audience, and just shared their outlooks. And I thought I'd just share a couple of quotes that I was able to write down. So the key message was diversity and inclusion is central to building a strong modern workplace and community. And it was proven time and time again at this mayor's forum of how when we tap into different voices, we create opportunities to hear different ideas, solutions, problems that need to be addressed. And it really is quite amazing to step back and look at this opportunity that we have to just become stronger, wiser, and more unified. And it was very inspiring. The mayor, Wayne Reddecup, said, and he has a longer quote, but I just want to say the first short sentence: Fort Erie is a community for everyone. What a great way to start off the conference. I'd like to be able to say Thorold is a community for everyone as well. Why is it important? Well, diversity strengthens relationships and workplaces, community through including multiple perspectives and ideas. That's what I was just speaking about. But here's another important aspect that was brought to the forum. It encourages citizens to feel like they belong. And that's so important in growing community. If people feel like they are a part of the community, they will become the community. They will be involved with the community. And that's what we need. We don't want to have people shut away. We don't want to have people who are kept on the sidelines. It's an opportunity for Thorold to welcome, invite, encourage, share, include. These are all such important aspects that we should be promoting and following up with our development of our own equity, diversity, and inclusion policy. So one thing that Fort Erie has done is they've created their policy, and it's really not a large policy, 7 pages, which compared to, I think, City of London had 78 pages. So, I mean, it's really hands-on, it's attainable, it's understandable. There's so many positive aspects. So in our working group, we can look at this and see, as I said, so much of the groundwork has already been done, and we shouldn't really have to invent the wheel again. We've got it in front of us. We just have to adopt it, bring it to council, and move forward on it. So wonderful conference. Maybe one day Thorold will host their own as well. But it was very rewarding to attend this Mayor's Forum, and I'm looking forward to hopefully in this term create our own EDI policy. So that's a bit of a wrap up.
That's phenomenal. Thank you so much. It sounds really great. I'm sorry that I missed it. Any questions for Councillor O'Hare? No. All right. I'll reiterate. I think we've got a great starting point, and to your point, a lot of the documentation around EDI policies tends to be very lengthy. So this is a nice kind of condensed version of that. So I think it is a really great starting point. So look forward to working on that. Okay, so I'll now pass over the next part of our meeting to the Legislative Assistant, Justin Letourneau, and Justin will go through some nominations for Committee Vice Chair. Justin, over to you.
Thank you. So with the resignation of one of our members, the Vice Chair position has opened up, and so we'll see if there's anyone interested in the position. So I'll now call for nominations for the Vice Chair, if there's any nominations. Councillor O'Hare.
Yes, thank you, Justin. I'd like to nominate Saba if Saba would be interested in accepting the nomination.
Is Saba interested?
Yes, sure. Thank you.
Okay. I'll now call for a second and third time for nominations for Vice Chair. Is there any other nominations? Seeing none, I'll move to a motion to close nominations for Committee Vice Chair. So can I get a mover and a seconder to close nominations for the Committee Vice Chair? So I got Renee, and Councillor O'Hare.
I second.
Okay. So I'll call the question. All those in favor of closing nominations? Okay, opposed? Okay, that's carried. So since there's only one candidate and she is accepted, I'd like to congratulate Saba as our new vice chair. So congratulations.
Congrats, Saba.
Thank you.
I'm not 100% sure what this entails exactly.
So we'll fill you in. And that's another thing. We're going to have training coming up in January next week. I'll send some more details about that. But we'll give you some more details about what that entails in the future.
Yes, that would be great. Thanks.
All
Right,
I know about that is that if Renee is busy, you sort of fill in for her. Is what?
That's one of the things, yes. Okay,
Don't reconsider, Saba. We'll be fine.
So I'll pass back to the chair, and then we can continue on.
All right, great. Thank you so much, and congratulations, Saba. So on to committee business. So 9.1, looking at the policy working group. Do we have any discussion around that? And I do appreciate that we are a small group today, so we may have to circle back on some of these items. But any updates from the team? No, not seeing anything. So 9.2, looking at the work plan, strategic plan working group. And again, this may be something we have to refocus with the new members to take a look at how that work's being divided. So any discussion points around this one? Councillor O'Hare?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. This question is through you to Matthew. Matthew, the working groups, from what I understand, can be a maximum of 3 persons. Is that correct?
Makeup currently of the committee, I believe quorum is 5, so you could have up to 4.
Oh, good.
Up to 4. Okay, great. Because I think we lost a member who was interested or working on the EDI policy. So maybe one of the new members would like to join us, and I guess we'll hope that they're in attendance at the next meeting, and we can keep that.
I think of note to that as well, Madam Chair, if there are community organizations or members that would be very relevant to the work that's being done, even though they may not be a member of this committee, bringing them in to a working group to help advise on that, that's completely reasonable. So just as an example, let's say you were reviewing some language around inclusion of the LGBTQ2S+ community, and you wanted to invite somebody to a meeting of the working group from Pride Niagara, that would be completely reasonable and make sense, and you would just include that in your update to the committee at a future meeting.
Oh, that's phenomenal. That will definitely be helpful. Councillor O'Hare?
Yeah, thank you. This is again through you, Madam Chair, to Matthew. So does that affect the number of working group members? So if we had 4, can we still bring in a guest?
Yeah, absolutely. It's through you, Madam Chair. It's the quorum of the committee itself that we're concerned about. So if we have a quorum of the committee together,
perfect.
You could be advancing. Yeah.
All right, that works for everyone. Okay, any other questions or comments related to that? Nope, not seeing any. Okay. And then now looking at 9.3, so it is our DIAC-C1-2024 committee meeting schedule. So that was circulated, and any discussion around that? Thank you, Justin, for pulling you're pulling it up. Okay, so we have a following list of proposed dates in 2024, and we have reduced the number of the dates. So we've got March 7th, May 2nd, July 4th, September 5th, and November 7th. And these will be held at 6 p.m. They all fall on Thursdays. So that was something that we solicited feedback for, and it seemed that that was a better time for everyone, and then it reduced the monthly meetings. So any discussion around this updated schedule? Nope. Okay, so can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the 2024 meeting schedule? Councillor O'Hare, and a seconder, please. And we have Saba, thank you very much, as the seconder. And I will call the question now. All those in favor, just raise your hand.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Any opposed? And the motion passes. Thank you very much. All right, moving on to item number 10. So roundtable discussion, Niagara DEI Community of Practice.
So I can provide some comment on that, Madam Chair. This is a relatively new initiative that's coming out of Niagara Region. There was a there was a working group for diversity, equity, and inclusion of the local area municipalities in Niagara that was meeting on a bi-monthly basis just to connect with the resources for DEI at the region, provide kind of updates as to what we were doing in the area municipalities, get an opportunity to connect. That sort of evolved and has now become this community of practice, which has evolved beyond the local area municipalities and bringing in other community organizations and DEI experts from across the region to meet again, kind of in a bi-monthly basis, really to just get together and share best practices, share policies, documents, have conversation around what's happening in these organizations in Niagara, and be able to share. So there's been one meeting that's just sort of pre-organized to get this started. There should be another one, I believe, happening in February. So my hope is to provide updates to this committee on what's happening at those meetings. I myself or someone from the clerk's office will always attend to provide that feedback from the city of Thorold and then bring the information back to this committee. So that being said, through the working groups of this committee and the members, if there are topics that you're interested in, or if you're ever interested in attending one of these meetings, by all means, reach out to me and I'll make sure that we get you connected and or make sure those questions are addressed at the community of practice.
Thank you. That sounds phenomenal. And I actually was on the Niagara Region DIAC, so great people, and I think it's a really fantastic initiative. So any questions about this? Not seeing any. Okay, so we can reach out to Matthew should we want to attend or want additional information. And I think it's also a great resource if we do want to tap into some of those local agencies or people who are presenting there, and they may be able to do the same for us. So thank you. Okay, moving on, we're just breezing through this agenda tonight. Committee recruitment. So I think that was something that I had raised, and it was in advance of knowing that we got 2 more members. But just want to give thought, is there opportunity to put more recruitment effort out just to grow the committee? Or are we satisfied with the number that we've landed at now? So just open for discussion. Any thoughts? Go ahead, Andrew.
I was thinking that what it is we're not terrible number now, but we can sort of do sort of like we recruit if we find the right person type thing. Not that we are recruiting like to recruit, just more and things might happen, someone has to leave, for example. We just sort of want to do some don't active recruit, but recruit for the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thing.
Okay, Councillor O'Hare, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. This question again is through you to Matthew. According to procedural bylaw, Matthew, what is the number of members that we can have? Has that been stated? I believe it probably has been, but I'm not sure.
I'll defer that to Justin, who has the answer probably at hand.
Yes, I just double checked it to make sure. That's okay. So it's 8 at-large members and 2 councillors. We have our 2 councillors, and so I think we're just short 2 at-large members. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, 2.
So Matthew and Justin, do we have people who applied and perhaps didn't make it, or have we exhausted the recruitment list?
Yeah, everyone who applied got on in the last
Okay.
round, and we don't have another round planned yet, but obviously this would be included in the next round to get more members.
Yeah, so I think I would like to, I don't know if we need a motion to put that forward, that we do enter into a new round of recruitment. Again, I think it gives us a bit of a buffer if people have to drop off, then we're not just losing all of that momentum because we can't have meetings if we don't reach quorum. So I'd like to put that forward.
I think we could take that, Madam Chair, as staff direction, and we can report back on recruitment of that. What will happen is once we begin a recruitment process, get some advertisements out, we will eventually close the period, or we'll get a certain number. We'll take that to council for a review and appointment, and then we'd be able to report back to this committee on the results.
That's fantastic. Any feedback or concerns from the rest of the committee? No, great, terrific. All right, any items for roundtable? We are nearing the end of our meeting. Is there anything anybody would like to raise? Councillor O'Hare?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. This time I'm not going to speak to Matthew. What I noticed downtown is that most businesses do have approachable entrances, meaning they're accessible. But some still have steps, and I discovered or found out about this program. It's called Stopgap. And what it is basically a company that builds ramps. And I think it's a nonprofit, but they build ramps that municipalities purchase to go in front of stores so that they become fully accessible. I'd like to pursue this and get any feedback from the committee as well, if they have any thoughts on it. I think that certainly in this day and age, all stores, all storefronts should be accessible. No one should be kept out or have to awkwardly maneuver steps or any sort of impediments that are in their way. So I'd like to maybe do a little bit more closely of a study on the businesses that would need them, and see maybe at some point we have to come to council and request that a program such as this be implemented, so that we just improve the accessibility to our residents. So I don't know if anyone has an idea.
I actually remember there's at least one store I know of on Front Street that has like an awkward step. It's only one, but it's awkward. Do you know that store Fig something or other has an awkward step?
Right. I think there's a couple more, Andrew. I went down recently and did a visual survey, and it would be nice to eliminate all those awkward steps, like you said. Yeah.
There's a few. I meant it's only a few. It's because they're older buildings, is I think a lot of the thing. Mm-hmm. And I love the older buildings, but they also sometimes have some issues like that.
Yeah, they're not always accessible. So is this something then we would look at as a working group and then put forth a recommendation, Matthew?
So yes, you could do it as a working group. You could even, if Councillor O'Hare has already done any research into local communities, we could look at bringing a report back to the next meeting, just on the program for the committee to digest a little bit, understand what would be involved. And then there's a couple of routes we take. One being council could certainly direct the program to exist. We could also refer it to the community or to the city's Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee to also review in terms of funding opportunities. What I can say is, as part of the upcoming budget, I've attempted to increase my accessibility budget. So there may be a little bit of room already built into that, assuming operating budget is approved, to spend a little bit of that money right on this program. So there will certainly be some options, but maybe what we'll do is we'll take that as direction. I can reach out to Councilor O'Hare and try to bring something back to the next meeting for committee to review.
Fantastic. Councillor O'Hare, that works for you?
Absolutely. That's wonderful.
All right, good news. All right, any other items for discussion? Saba, go ahead.
This is kind of a general question. I'm not sure who might know the answer to this, but I'm actually wondering if anybody knows whether the region, I know that that's not us, if there's any plans on for the, sorry, I can speak. I'm getting over a cold, sorry. If the region has any plans to build any pedestrian access or sidewalks along Highway 58, specifically between Lundy's Lane and the Thoroldstone. And I'm asking because I live in Rolling Meadows, and anyone who's been to Rolling Meadows knows there's absolutely no amenities in Rolling Meadows. Like there's no convenience stores, there's absolutely nothing, and the public transit is basically non-existent in this neighborhood as well. And so that's resulting in an increasing number of people just kind of wandering along the side of the highway. Which is a huge safety issue, but it's also a DE&I issue because not everyone can afford vehicles, and we don't want Thorold to become a community where only rich people can live or people above a certain income class can live because there's no amenities or sidewalks or public transit for people to live on the side of the canal. And I realize Highway 58 is managed by the region, so that's not really something that the world can step into. But as Rolling Meadows develops, I'm not sure maybe if Council O'Hare or someone else that works in the city is plugged into any of those conversations at the regional level. Because to me, living in this neighborhood, I see that kind of as a growing DE&I issue. I see so many people just wandering around the side of Highway 58, and cars go like 100K down that stretch of highway.
It's only
So
supposed to be
Saba,
80.
exactly, Saba. I live in Kottmeyer and Merritt in the Empire development, and we face the same issue. So I think it's a larger issue. And Matthew and Councillor O'Hare, you can talk about how we can get this addressed. But I think walkability and accessibility in Thorold is a topic that does need to be addressed. So Councillor O'Hare, to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Saba, you've hit the nail on the head with one of my pet peeves, and that is developments that solely build houses and have no regard for providing services for the people that live there, and therefore force the communities to be car-oriented, also less socially aware of each other if everyone's just going from their house to their car and driving away. So this is something that I've been trying to bring to the attention of developers that, to build inclusive communities, there must be centers within the community where people can gather, buy things, stock up, that sort of thing. And I think the message is slowly getting out there. I think developers in the past, and not all developers, but many developers just wanted to build houses. Let's face it, it's a business. That's where they make their money. But we have to look at communities much more closely and provide the needs of the members that live there, not just the houses. So we continually bring that up in council. One thing I can say is that I believe in Rolling Meadows, they are this close to providing some services in a new area that they're developing. I hope that becomes a reality. As far as Empire Legacy up your way, Renee, I know they came to council recently, and I asked that question directly to the planners. And they said there are some areas there for future development. My feeling is it should be established right away, especially not just the services that residents require, but the sidewalks must be in, the playgrounds have to be in, and we seem to have it backwards in terms of developing some of these communities. So it is definitely an issue that I am very concerned about, and I'll continue to voice my opinion about it and try to encourage planners, developers to ensure that those facilities are there. Regarding the intersection you're referring to, I think there's also some discussion about making that a little bit safer, because during the election campaign, I also noticed that is a ridiculous intersection with all the people in Rolling Meadows moving over to Thorold South, and you have to cross Highway 58. I mean, you're taking your life into your hands, and kids are being brought to elementary school there. I mean, we need to identify, or we need to ratify that situation. I know it's a regional road, but I think it's in the discussion stage right now, and hopefully that'll be addressed to make that area safer. But I agree, sidewalks are important, services are important for communities, and this is how we build inclusive communities. So hopefully we're getting better, smarter, and as I say, the developers and planners will start to listen to us.
Well, I know it's something I'm particularly passionate about. So if you need a delegation or support, I'm happy to weigh in on that. And I think Saba would as well. Andrew, over to you.
I have a couple things I want to say. For one thing, for safety, for that particular thing, is that we once temporarily, when there was construction, they did it, and I think we should have kept it permanently. Is the other way out of Thorold South, that's by the jail. They should have kept lights there. If they put lights there, that will help with the safety a bit. I'm not saying it will fix everything, but that would help. The other thing, and
That's
this is
the
a general
intersection we're
thing.
talking about.
Yeah. The other thing that would help a lot, and I feel like I don't know which level of government this is, we should put in contracts for these developers that they have to, when they reach a certain percentage of their builds, do certain things. Because I don't trust them to actually follow through, that they should have legally binding contract that forces them to do some of this stuff. Because I don't trust them. I don't know which level of government this would be, but if they get the contract, you have to, when you reach this many houses, do this much, and etc., etc. That we should have something like that.
Yeah, I think, it's disturbing when you see these poor kids at odds because there's nowhere for them to walk. There's, it's not safe, as we've all pointed out. So I think that's a really great point, Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know what level, but I feel like that should be part of the contract, and it should also be a certain percentage has to be affordable housing. All this stuff needs to be in these contracts for these companies to even get the thing going, because I feel like if we change the way we think of it, and we know they're not going to do it, if the government forced it, then maybe some stuff would actually happen.
Yeah, over to you, Matthew.
Just the comment that some of this and some of the requirements that Andrew is addressing, I think can be covered in the city's official plan. And as the city starts moving through strategic planning over the next 4 years, and then eventually getting its official plan in front of council or the preparation for it, I think this committee might be able to, have a say in putting some of that feedback forward as, again, they redo and recreate the official plan for the city.
I think that's phenomenal. If we could get that opportunity to have some of these concerns heard and have the opportunity to weigh in, I think that would be fantastic. Saba, over to you. You're on mute, Saba.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, I was just going to say I agree with Andrew. I think that there's definitely a need for more accessibility, more affordable housing, just better planning with more income groups in mind. And like Councillor O'Hare said, to not just have communities that are for rich people with fancy cars, but communities that are built for more than just houses and vehicles. And I think a lot of development in Niagara region in the coming decades is going to be in Niagara. It's going to be in South Niagara because St. Catharines is basically all developed. And so this is kind of where all the development is coming in. And so if there's opportunities for us to advise in a way that works with some of those developers, can advise the planning committees to keep some of these things in mind when kind of designing some of these spaces, so that we're not just pushing low income people out of the city, which is an issue in Niagara in general, as the cost of living here goes up. So yeah, definitely if there's more opportunities as a committee for us to weigh in on some of those discussions, that would definitely interest me.
Yeah, I think the housing equity is something that we can definitely speak to. I know just speaking to locals who've been here for a long time, that's one of the biggest concerns that I hear is that they are being pushed out because the average home sale price has increased so drastically in the last few years. So I think it is an important point to talk about that housing equity and affordable housing and having sustainable mixes. So, you know, I think these are all things we can capture if we're able to provide that feedback. Any other comments on this matter? Right, not seeing any. Okay, so if there's no further roundtable items, and just looking at the floor, is there anything else anybody would like to discuss?
If you were okay, you didn't come to see it.
No, no.
You know.
Okay,
So I said,
so our next meeting then will be held on March 7th, 2024. Hopefully it'll be nice and warm at that juncture, and it will be at 6 p.m. So please make sure that you do confirm your attendance to Justin. It gives him a great idea if we need to reschedule or if we're all good and that we'll have quorum. So please continue to communicate with Justin regarding your availability, and you should all have the new schedule. So just please communicate again if any of those meeting times don't work for you. And if there's no further business, then our meeting is being adjourned today at 6:39. All right, everyone, have a terrific evening. Okay.
You too.
Thank
See you in
you.
March. Bye-bye.
Thank you.